is going to start on Coda, and it is a ZVZ with WaKa and JonSnow.
Yeah, it's going to be. It should be a really cool match. They're going to match up. Their styles should match up really interestingly. I've been looking up some of their stats on Spawning Tool in with a bit of delay, and JonSnow doesn't have too much data on him, but WaKa generally he wins all of his games on Spawning Tool. He's won all of his games that finish before 12 minutes. So whether that means he's really cheesy or he's just got great cheese defense, I guess we'll find out because game's ready. So let's hop into it.
Yes, sir. So with our first player down here in the bottom right-hand side on Coda, as the Red Zerg playing for Team Flipside, it is going to be none other than JonSnow.
Oh, yes. And his opponent up here in the top right is going to be the Blue Zerg player representing Team Gravity. It's WaKa.
Oh man, it's good to be back in the driving seat of things because I've been doing so many other things, podcasting StarCraft 2 for like for almost a month, man. Like I did some Kung Fu Cup stuff, but more than that, like there's been a lot of focus for me on my studies because I've picked that up again, and then a lot of CS:GO. So I'm really happy to be back, man. And of course, these fight nights are an excellent opportunity, not only for us to get out here to talk about a bit about this wonderful game, but also, for these players to show what they're made of.
Yeah, so they're made of, earn a little bit of money. Of course, there's money up for grabs on these, and yeah, it's a great event Team Gravity put on, and a big shout out as well to, of course, Hitbox and Spawning Tool for sponsoring it, providing the prize pool, and helping these players live the dream, live the esports dream.
I mean, everyone's got to start somewhere. You got to start small. I mean, who knows? Maybe we'll see one of these boys pull on through, into later seasons of WCS.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I don't think WaKa's ever...
Oh, sorry, go on.
I don't think WaKa's ever gotten to WCS, but I know JonSnow at least made it very close. He had a fairly decent run this season, but yeah, definitely something to keep an eye on.
Well, Trig, talking about this game now, it is a ZVZ, and what do we see here out of each of these players? Hatchery first from WaKa into pool. No gas taken yet. Oh, there it is. Just as I guess I jinxed it. However, the JonSnow, he went straight into... he actually took the gas before the pool. He went hatch, gas pool. So we're going to be seeing speed coming out of him. And we'll see now if he's going to be committing to some sort of link play with this, like a big aggressive play, or if it's merely for that safety. And if it's going to be leading into the later stages of the game. But who knows? Because like you mentioned, WaKa not finishing any games, or winning all of his games before 12 minutes. Well, I mean, this can go anyway.
Yeah, absolutely could. They're both pretty strong players, fairly evenly matched here. So should see some fun games out of them. As you mentioned, JonSnow with his hatch gas pool is going to get speed up quite a bit faster than WaKa. Just 10-20 seconds or so, but that can make all the difference, especially if JonSnow really edges out that timing and has a big link flood or something. So yeah, we see about 15-20 seconds disparity in their speed timings there. Oh yeah, I was just about to say, JonSnow's Baneliness comes down, and that's not too unexpected. Putting it at the front is a little bit more defensive, indicates defense slightly more than going for a big all-in, because put up front, just saying, right, I've got a Baneling Nest. You don't want to all-in me, mate. I've got a Baneling Nest. Just back up.
Yeah, I was sort of thinking about that, because JonSnow wasn't peeling any drones off gas. So, I mean, just going to be a standard early game here over Zerg versus Zerg. I just want to see, is WaKa mining more gas? Yes, he is. Not pulling any drones off either. So, I mean, there might be a small exchange going on here. 8 links in production right now for JonSnow, and a spine going down here as well. I do like the positioning of that, by the way. It's going to be very hard to break. But now more links on production on the production tab here for WaKa as well. So, I mean, one of these guys are going to make something happen.
Yeah, they're both just they've both completely eschewed drones now. Both WaKa happy at 26 and JonSnow down at 23. A couple of Banelings morph up for JonSnow across the map, so he's going to be dashing across there with his metabolic boost. WaKa's metabolic boost finishes up as JonSnow's halfway across the map, so looks like they were both planning to get aggressive, but this is going to work out well for WaKa.
I mean, that defender's advantage, very key here. Now it's all going to come down to these Baneling connections and that control. No trades going down yet. Oh, that was a pretty big hit there, suffered by WaKa. Ended up trading fairly evenly, but an extra handful of Zerglings did, in fact, die there. So now JonSnow does have that numbers advantage for a very brief period of time.
Yeah, and really decent hits there on JonSnow's Banelings. It's going to drive those lings up. The beam goes down.
Oh my god.
JonSnow just completely overrunning here. But that Spine Crawler is going to be the key in his defense as another wave of Zerglings pop.
Yeah, if he didn't have that Spine Crawler, man, he'd just be dead in the water. But for now, he is holding on. However, the loss of that Queen really going to hurt his macro and defensive capability. And then, of course, WaKa's control so far in this game has not been looking very sharp. I mean, he's been giving away a couple of links too many with every connection we've seen out of JonSnow, who's now morphing more Banes. And, well, I mean, after this initial wave of Banelings, the attack is going to be over. But there's still a lot of potential for damage here for JonSnow.
Yeah, sure. WaKa's actually, he's had gone back to droning behind this. JonSnow is using these Banelings. Really, WaKa needs a great Bane protection onto JonSnow after Banelings to really close out. That's fine. Just going down finally. That's okay, defending there for WaKa, but still 2 Banelings remain, and they are incredibly dangerous.
Well, at the end of the day, manages to clean things up here. However, though, the trade's still favouring JonSnow a little bit. However, though, that drone advantage that we saw there at the very start of things, you know, those extra 3 drones really comes to help out, and he's, you know, capitalised onto that a little bit, and still 3 drones ahead.
Yeah, and he managed to squeeze a couple extra out during that attack, but of course he's going to have to remake a Spine Crawler. And JonSnow has so many Banelings morphing up, but WaKa's morphing up a big wave himself, so we'll see just how much damage he'll do if he comes in yet another time. Some decent Bane connections, but they really need to stop those Banes getting from the line, stop them getting the really juicy big patch of lings, and so far, yeah, the damage mostly mitigated by WaKa. But another wave of Banelings.
Yeah, man, this is just so scrappy. These guys all over the place, and just all the trades. There haven't really been any super sick ling splits and stuff like that. Now he seems to be peeling off a single ling here, but I mean, there should be much more of that. So now both of these guys sort of ending up going, you know, plus minus 0 virtually. Yeah. Still though, WaKa maintaining this 5 drone advantage. This is going to be very key, and then of course he's going for those 3 gases and grabbing that lair. So we might him actually go right into Mutalisk tech off the back of this defense.
Yeah, definite possibility. JonSnow, though, he knows he's a little behind. His opponent, having been defending, should have been able to squeeze out a few more drones. So he likely knows that he's slightly behind in the drone count in that one, and running a few lings around to try and deal with that. Morphing up into Banelings, actually. It looks like he just wants to go straight for a run by into the natural, but I don't know how successful he's going to be with that, because WaKa's got a few Banes of his own morphing up. But that is actually going to cut into his Mutalisk if he is going for that, which it very much looks like he is.
I mean, none of these guys have been posturing towards taking a 3rd base. So for now, you know, sort of stuck there as I say that. However, WaKa is sending that drone out, is going to go down. But we have that Spire planted down there for WaKa. Actually keeps the drone alive again. JonSnow just wanting to break through him with this relentless aggression.
Yeah, just managed to get through into middle line a little there, and still not too much damage taken, but the Spire is on its way for WaKa, so there's a bit of a timer for JonSnow, but oh my god, there's so many Banelings there. Oh, a huge connection there for WaKa though, and these 2 Spine Claws are just demolishing JonSnow's Baneling. So an enormous selection of all those lings, but this is the real meat of the core. He's going to get through into middle line, but the drone splits are here for WaKa. Are they good enough?
Yeah, they're looking really nice for now. However, the WaKa has to continuously dodge this clump of Banelings, and as more lings come to reinforce it for JonSnow, the connections start happening, and now suddenly WaKa down to 3 army supply. A couple of lings tied up in the production, but now these speedlings and the few Banelings left here for JonSnow have free reign to ravage this mineral line, and they're going to start focus firing at this hatchery. Needs to get more units out ASAP, but there's just not enough time.
GG, and yeah, JonSnow is able to take game 1. Best of 5, of course, so we'll be going on, continuing strong. But,
yeah, I think man, it was just so scrappy there for the majority of it, and then the big extra punch with those additional banelings really managed to catch WaKa off guard. But still, very, very scrappy. So an explosive start here to this best out of 5.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I mean, just really continual all in from JonSnow. Even when he backed off, he just kind of squeezed out 1 or 2 extra drones, and then just, just all in again. But yeah, we are going to be hopping on over to EU. So we'll just take a couple minutes to get the game up, because where's WaKa from? I guess he's EU based then.
Yes, he is. I believe he's. I'm probably going to be wrong when I do believe he is like German. I do think so.
Oh, your camera's on, by the way. Just
turn
it off and on.
Thank you. I will sort that out. Should be.
You're much hand on EU. So I'm not.
Yeah, right.
I don't have that silver border. Yeah, this is much more like it. Everyone's masters. I'm diamonds. Much better than like the silver to GM ratio over on there.
Yeah, even our admin beast,
Yeah.
GM, so that's kind of sick. But yeah, we've all hopped over now to EU. What was the second map going to be? Because these guys, they veto and they have the map pick order. So
I believe it was Terraform. But looks like WaKa's questioning it as well. I assume our admin beast has been keeping track of that.
He's got yet to join us here in EU.
Yeah. Oh no, he's the. Oh. No, yeah, no, he isn't. I saw the barking and I was like, oh, that must be beast. I don't know. But
yeah, but yeah, we just wait. I guess we're waiting for him to show up. But yeah, man. Otherwise, do you have any closing thoughts on that first game?
The only thought I'm going to say is the game ended at exactly 12:45, so it hasn't upset WaKa's 100% win rate in games that end before 12 minutes. So,
35-second margin.
Yeah, exactly.
But I mean, I really think it looked as if he had held well. And I mean, he had the second spine crawler and everything set up. He had the additional queen. But it was just that link control. Like, it turned out to be very scrappy. And even though the drone splits were very nice, he just simply didn't have enough stuff. I mean, he even got some really good initial banelink connections as well, at the very start of the fight. So I'm sort of surprised that he ended up falling short there.
Yeah, it was. I really think it was like he didn't get enough solid banelink connections. There were 1 or 2 that were okay, but by and large, all the banelings very much went the way of JonSnow, especially early on when they have a chance to snowball. He got 1 good hit where 2 of his own banes took out like 4 or 5 of JonSnow's. But at that stage, JonSnow had so many banelings that it just didn't really matter, and he just rolled in with the rest of them and kind of zoned out.
Tough first loss here. We'll see now if JonSnow can ride this initiative that he's claimed at the very start of things. That's a very sort of key thing to keep in mind here, guys. Just because in StarCraft 2, in a series like this, when you pick up the first map in a best of 5 like this, if you can continuously ride this initiative, sort of go with the momentum, then you might have a very quick series on your hands. But we'll have to see, can WaKa turn things around as players. Now, readying up it in the lobby. Map number 2 is Terraform.
Yeah, it's worth considering as well that this is, of course, now WaKa's home server, especially in a mirror matchup like ZVZ. Even the small amount of lag not only affects your micro in the knife fight that is Ling Bane versus Ling Bane, but also actually affects your macro. If your first drone is like a 1/10 of a second late, or half a second late in an extreme case, then your next drone is going to be half a second late from the lag, plus a little bit later from the minerals that you're not mining, and it kind of has this snowball effect, especially with Zerg, who can't just kind of queue up a couple extra and catch up. But either way, we're in game, so let's hop to it. Game 2 here on Terraform.
Nice. So here we have him, our first player in the top left, wearing the pink tuxedo tonight, and playing for Team Flipside Gaming. It is going to be none other than JonSnow. He has our pink barcode.
Yes, indeed. And down here in the bottom right, representing Team Gravity, we have the Red Zerg WaKa.
He finds himself one game down so far. But I mean, Zerg versus Zerg, anything can happen. The early stages, like we saw there in the very first game, crazy knife fight. Can really go any way, in any direction possible, depending on how these guys control things. But now, WaKa, like you were talking about a bit earlier, does have the advantage here. Because, I mean, it is his home server.
Yeah, last game, of course, JonSnow, we can imagine, wasn't quite having to contend with so much lag. This time, the shoe is on the other foot, and it's going to be WaKa who should have that top-tier control. And, yeah, we were talking in the break about how the Baneling connections were always, well, they were pretty consistently better for JonSnow. And it'll be really interesting to see if the reverse is true here in Game 2.
Yeah, because I'm thinking, like, in Ling Bling Wars, just that split-second peel off or split and stuff like that are so key into avoiding those absolutely detrimental Baneling connections for your opponent. So now perhaps WaKa on the in comparison to how he was playing there on NA server, now perhaps he will have that advantage. So if he chooses to go into Ling Bling and force another fight like that, then perhaps he can use that to his advantage and sort of capitalize on the fact that JonSnow should be struggling a little bit here with having that lag. We'll have to see, though. As, now things start happening a little bit. Gas being taken here at fairly similar timings for both of our players. And, well, shouldn't really... I mean, there's not too much to really say until we see where that gas starts being spent. But, I mean, I think it's going to just be speed, and probably a Baneling nest for both of our guys, unless someone chooses to deviate off here in another direction, perhaps just go into +1 roaches or something like that. But we'll just have to sort of kick back and see.
Yeah, most likely. It would be a little greedy to skip either of those kind of two staples of early game ZVZ, the Baneling nest or Link speed, unless you're going to go totally gasless and just try and get away with a wall off at your natural. But both these players have already taken gas, so we can say that's unlikely. In the least, possibility of a drone here.
Oh?
No. Okay, there we go. Just a little bit of micro.
He's coming in for another spit. Is he going to get it? No. JonSnow, or WaKa a little bit too quick there. Even, he's going to get both Lings, so that's
yeah.
Nice, nice little pick off there at the start of things.
Yeah, it kind of stings, especially given the fact that JonSnow now hasn't had any kind of opportunity to scout around WaKa's main base. So he's got no idea what's in there, doesn't know whether he's up against Gasless. I mean, he's poked him with an Overlord to confirm that he's there, but yeah. Doesn't know if there's like some kind of Baneling nest being hidden up there, though it is being thrown down in the natural now. And WaKa, he can't really make it into JonSnow's base either, so they're both kind of playing in the dark.
Yeah, so I do like this addition of the Baneling nest. Positioning of these buildings, though, a little different. In the main there for JonSnow, and in the natural for WaKa, so that's going to help him in terms of walling things off a little bit, give him some more ground control, basically. However, he needs to be careful about not overcommitting that off creep with that queen, because, right as you know it, a handful of speedlings come in, wrap around, and take that out, so you need to be very cautious with all of your units here.
Yeah, WaKa did just see a large number of lings pop at the natural for JonSnow, so he knows there's something on the way. And yeah, we see a few lings of his own just finishing up. Speed timings for both players almost identical. A couple of Banelings morphing up for WaKa as well. And will he get those connections he so sorely needs?
Well, I really like this, though. He hasn't really committed too much into this. I mean, he's adding in a couple of more lings here. Ooh, needs to be careful about the Baneling. Oof, that was kind of sloppy. But he's throwing down a Roach Warren. That's what I wanted to point out. That's a big thing here, right? He's faking out WaKa right now. He's he dropped the spine. But he's not really taking the bait because, as we can see, he's adding in more drones now. And he's going to find himself at a pretty good worker advantage here. However, though, the big issue is going to be this quicker Roach Warren.
Yeah, JonSnow's going to be able to start building up his Roach count much faster than WaKa is. Although WaKa, to compensate, it does have this Evo chamber. But 10 Roaches. That's a 10. Man, that's a big swell.
Yeah, I think he's just going to go for Roachling Bane. Use those Banelings to clean up the number of lings here for WaKa, and from there on, just push on through. Use the roaches. That's a big battering ram, and now they've been revealed. So now WaKa knows exactly what he's up against. We see another spine crawler added right away. However, though, he's taking this third base and going into lair at the same time. Is he going to have enough stuff back at home to defend, though? The roach war isn't done just yet, but WaKa has banked up a lot of resources here. So now we see right away 9 roaches on that production tab, 3 spine crawlers on the way as well. Yeah, he really needs to make the hold right now because JonSnow, he's committing so much. So if WaKa can hold on here without losing too much, JonSnow is virtually going to be all in.
Yeah, for sure. And he could definitely take out the third base. But look like JonSnow wants to go for the throat, but he might wait a little too long. WaKa's own roaches are out now, but a lot of banelings wandering into that middle line. But no huge hits on the drone so far. Only 4 drones have gone down. And as WaKa's roaches continue to spawn, JonSnow, he's run out of banelings, just the 1 left. But he's still got so many roaches, the backbone of his force.
Very key as well. A lot of energy on that queen, in fact. So he can keep transfusing these spine crawlers, moving them forward now. And, well, this really took the mickey out of JonSnow, I have to say. However, though, is perhaps going to be able to catch this third hatchery. Yeah, there's no way that WaKa can keep this alive. So this is a bit of an unfortunate loss.
No, I think it would be a bit greedy of WaKa to try and get away with that third as well. So, all in all, not too bad for JonSnow. He's secured himself a little bit of a drone advantage and has taken out his opponent's extra hatchery. But WaKa has the much faster Evo chamber, but actually JonSnow ends up being the one who starts his upgrades fast. WaKa was committing...
Kicking that in,
yeah, he was committing to the
attack.
defense there and couldn't really squeeze it out, but he will get away with roach speed.
Yeah, that's true, quicker lair. Maybe you can make something happen with that. Perhaps go for a denial on the third base or something like that. But I mean, it's going to be tough. Just by the fact of how he doesn't really know what JonSnow is up to. Now he perhaps will catch that third hatchery going down, but I mean, he lost a third of his own and sort of forced back into a defensive posture right now, so we'll see how much initiative JonSnow is going to be taking out on the map.
Yeah, for now, he's just kind of sat at home, nice little pretty concave setup in case WaKa had circled around somewhere. There are a couple paths WaKa could try and take to avoid most of JonSnow's overlords going down kind of south and then up to the middle spiral, but for now I think, yeah, both players are pretty happy to keep on going and try and take it into a bit more of a macro game.
Yes, but now we're sort of going to be entering the stage of where both these players are just going to be constantly churning out roaches. That's when it comes down to who engages at the best angle and who has the best decision making. Because one misstep in roaches versus roaches, and that's pretty much game. So now this is really going to force both of these players onto the very edge of things. And I think this is the stage of ZZ that I enjoy the most.
Yeah, where you start getting that more positional aspect versus
exactly. It's sort of like TVT.
Exactly. Yeah.
Very positional matchup. But here we go. WaKa going for that counter attack. However, JonSnow already knows about this. This is a great angle for him to be fighting on top of this ramp with a concave advantage, and he's going to force WaKa out of there.
Yeah, both players with roach speed finished up now, and so these lings are going to be able to chase WaKa down as JonSnow keeps on going. Maybe able to catch a couple of corner roaches as WaKa comes around. Yep, that's an extra shot from WaKa having to bend around there. But now this is WaKa's home turf, and it's worth noting as well that behind this, a few lings managed to make their way into the main base and killed off 5 of JonSnow's drones. But he's going to engage into this spine crawler. WaKa has a decent concave setup over here, and the road count is fairly even. JonSnow does have to back off. Can't quite compete with that spine crawler.
The defender's advantage as well, much faster reinforcements here for WaKa. Still though, pretty good little attack here, again from JonSnow, because he's making sure that his third base is going to be safe. WaKa calling for the pause, please. We'll have to see what's up. I think he did mention earlier that he did have some issues with this PC, but it seems that we are good to go, so here we are back into the game.
Yep, everything going on smoothly from now on, we hope. Yeah, WaKa's actually secured the drone advantage just a little. So probably don't want to go too much higher than 56, maybe like somewhere up to 60, because you really do want a lot of that army in roaches. You can't afford to just throw away army after army when your opponent can has the same remax capabilities you do in ZVZ. But double upgrades is going to be a transition that JonSnow is making, which isn't going to be mirrored by WaKa. So his roaches will just be that little bit more powerful. But oh, actually, no, WaKa does have a second Evo chamber as well. So yeah, they're both fairly mirrored compositions. It'll be interesting to see who moves towards Infestors or Hydralisks or something like that first. Ooh, or this.
Okay, so this is a very cool move we see here out of WaKa, right? This relies on him getting a favorable engagement on JonSnow's side of the map, because if he can crash the Banelings into his opponent's roaches and then start cleaning them up, because I mean the Banelings will be doing a ton of damage if you get like 12 or 16 right into that clump of your opponent, and if he's right on top of his opponent's production, there's no way that he can sort of regain his composure and start grouping up his units, and then from there it just snowballs out of effect. But like I said, it's all going to come down to that WaKa needs to find a favorable engagement. However, though, JonSnow is not going to wait. He's pushing forward, and this Spinecrawler is burrowing, now joining into the fight. The roach numbers, though, favouring WaKa at this point in time, as more roaches trickling from the side here for JonSnow. But I think this was a bit of a mistake.
I think you'll be right. He does have those reinforcing roaches for JonSnow that are going to give him enough for Concave to push WaKa back. WaKa has some Banelings that are finished up though, but a lot of them being wasted in just a small group of roaches, and JonSnow is pushing onwards strongly, an enormous Concave. He's just surrounding, smothering WaKa's army, and as the few Banelings move in, there's just not enough roaches to support them. GG, game 2 goes to JonSnow.
I did actually catch that little move there from JonSnow. He sent a handful of roaches into the natural mineral line of his opponent, and I think it really sort of pulled him apart there, because he had to focus on that. So yeah, if those Banelings would have been in the fight, it would have been much better for him, because he did have that roach number advantage for a short while in that battle. But yeah, well, you know, I guess I had to eat up my words. I was thinking that JonSnow was overstepping, but in fact, with that little attack to the side, manages to bring down WaKa in game number 2, which means that he's one map away here from complete and utter victory.
Yeah, I mean, it's like you said, at that stage, the EVZ becomes a much more positional game. And if you can draw your opponent's army out to the front, take a fight, even if it's not necessarily a favourable fight, so long as it's not too bad, just send a few roaches into the natural base, kill off what you can, and then when his reinforcements came in as well, they came in from the side on a great flank, and people always talk about the concave in Roach versus Roach, and that's good. It ends up being really important.
Yeah, it's like 90% of the time, the person with the best concave will usually win the engagement. But yeah, man, so map number 3, we'll have to see what that's going to be, guys.
Just
sort of keeping eyes on chat. Yeah, I hope it's Iron Fortress. Iron Fortress is actually one of my favorite maps in this current map pool. I mean, it's so big, there's a lot of space to maneuver around, there's a lot of angles for those counterattacks and stuff like that. So, I mean, we have a ZVZ on that one, and it goes into the mid-game again, then I think we're going to be having a very nice game ahead of us. But, you know, still, WaKa one map away here from elimination, so perhaps this series will be cut fairly short.
Yeah, it's a definite possibility, but let's get this lobby up. And, of course, Iron Fortress being, as you say, a really big force-spawn map, the defense advantage, which really comes into play in ZVZ, ends up being multiplied, just kind of like the rally advantage.
Yeah, it's like much quicker for who's ever defending. Speaking of which, I think there's an interesting dynamic there to things of creep spread in ZVZ on a big map like this. Sure. Like, how much do you want to be spreading your creep? Because at certain points, like if you overextend your creep towards the center of the map, if your opponent is constantly attacking you, you're going to sort of have a highway leading into your side of the map. Well, on the other hand, if you're the one attacking, you'll continuously reinforce much faster. So I think that it can be a little bit of a double-edged sword. And then, of course, you get that extra vision with the creep tumors, which is very helpful to sort of keep track of what's going on. But, I mean, it's just a thought that I've been thinking about it a lot, you know, like ZVZ creep spread. So I hope that we'll see I hope that we will see it come into play so we can sort of talk about it more. But, who knows?
Yeah, as we get this loaded up, it'll be interesting. Creep spread, I feel like it generally favors, for both players, it generally favors whoever's being the more aggressive player, because of course one of the big things it does is it cuts down that reinforcement rate, the rally time. So as soon as you get onto your opponent's creep spread, you're dashing towards their base as quickly as possible, and you know, obviously when you're on your own creep, you're dashing towards your opponent's base as quickly as possible as well. So
yeah, well, that being said, we are now loading into map number 3, ladies and gentlemen. To any of you guys just tuning in here on Hitbox, this is of course Team Gravity's Fight Night number 31, but we are now here on Iron Fortress, so take it away, Trigonal.
thank you very much. Up here in the top right, here's our blue Zerg player, just one map away from securing the victory here on Team Gravity's Fight Night from Flipside Tactics. It's JonSnow.
Oh man, I keep saying Flipside Gaming for some reason. It's like, yeah, well, he does have an opponent spawning down here in the bottom right, ladies and gentlemen, playing for Team Gravity. Will he be able to turn things around? We'll have to see. It's going to be a climb. It is none other than WaKa.
Yes, indeed. And so far, JonSnow's been playing out a very aggressive game. Looks like that is a plan he wants to continue with as he throws down a 10-pool pair on Iron Fortress. His Overlord went in exactly the right direction as well, heading straight for WaKa's base. So JonSnow's going to have an idea where WaKa spawns as soon as WaKa's second Overlord crosses paths with his.
Oh, man.
And that's all JonSnow needs to know. He just needs to know where his opponent is. WaKa, though, he'd like to know what his opponent's doing, and he's not going to get a chance to find that out before Lings start flooding into his base.
He went 14-14 here, so his build order is actually going to be really, really good for defending this sort of build. But I mean, it's going to come down a lot to control now for JonSnow, or for WaKa, I mean.
Yeah, he does have the pool early enough to, you know, possibly to have a decent chance at defending, but identifying what he's up against and making the correct decisions about what to build is going to be important now. WaKa should have a couple of Lings out by the time JonSnow actually gets his base, especially given that JonSnow is actually holding back for a little while. It's going to be 10 pool speed, actually, no Banelings on this. Is JonSnow just going to hold his Lings back until speed's done? He can't.
No. I think he's going to be, you know, grouping up a couple and then sending them across. I actually also came to realize that I completely botched, like, 90% of everything I said just like 30 seconds ago because I was looking at the production tab and stuff like that. There's no 14-14. Gasless coming out of WaKa here, right?
Yeah.
Wait, JonSnow, is he peeling the Lings further
he's
here to the
avoiding
left?
Overlords.
Oh man, this is so smart.
Wait,
JonSnow, have you missed? Did you miss the Overlord kiss?
no, he's just really, really avoiding the Overlord, I think. But actually,
he's gonna see.
the Lings.
He runs into the Ling. Okay, so more Lings of production now for JonSnow. Speed is about halfway done at this point, and there's no way here for WaKa to hold on to this hatchery. Like, there's literally no way that he's going to be able to defend this. No. So he has to give that up, because if he lets JonSnow come up that ramp, well, that's pretty much going to spell disaster for him.
Yeah, absolutely. He's going to let the hatch finish just to try and buy a little time, but JonSnow goes, nah, I'm not interested in that hatch. Let's get the Queen. Takes her down, and trades off for a fair few Lings as well. Speed rapidly approaching done, only less than 30 seconds away. And now he's going to start getting to work in this hatchery, forcing a response from WaKa. WaKa gets a chance to build up some Lings, but every time he steps forward, JonSnow is ready. And WaKa is now so far out of his base, and Speed's done for JonSnow. He's going to be able to chase these Lings down. There's no way they escape.
Oh, but can he get a good angle here on top of the ramp? No, he's going to lose a nuclear perhaps. JonSnow being a little bit indecisive here. As this angle that he's fighting in now, this is exactly what WaKa needs in order to stay alive. The Spinecrawler, though, is being blocked. However, though, the positioning for WaKa wasn't really too shabby there on top of that, but he still needs to be so careful to not overstep as more feelings come to reinforce here for JonSnow. Yeah,
fighting for the Spinecrawler's finish burrowing is going to enable JonSnow to trade as effectively as he possibly can. But overall, WaKa still has a solid drone advantage. 16 to 10 is almost double his opponent. It may only be 6 drones, but when you're that low down, every drone really counts. JonSnow's going to be able to pump out a few Lings, but WaKa, having held on to this hatchery, has just so much of an advantage. He's got double the production. He can be pumping out Queens, which are excellent for this kind of early defensive position, and that Queen can sit back, surrounded with Lings, blocking off the ramp, not having to take any damage during the fighting, and just still able to transfuse the Spinecrawler.
Yeah, this is WaKa actually with an excellent hold there, but to be honest, I think it was more JonSnow's mistake to go fight at that ramp. But now again, WaKa actually overextending a little bit with these lings. That speed helping out a lot here in order for JonSnow to get more surface area quicker versus feelings of his opponent. But now the Queen's coming in on the defense again. Needs to be so on the point here though. You cannot let these feelings off the ramp. Is going to go for the focus fire, force a cancel on that spine. JonSnow still very threatening here with these lings, and there he finds a sort of bit of a dead space angle on that hatchery, but still, he's going to end up losing most of his lings here.
Yeah, and with 3 queens now, they feel confident enough to start stepping forwards, pushing away the lings from JonSnow. And when this second spine crawler finishes up, he can reposition so that JonSnow can't make use of that dead space area. And, so it's going to be increasingly tough for the blue Zerg player to actually find angles as WaKa keeps on adding his units. He's actually started to drone up now, feeling so confident in his defense. But JonSnow behind this, aggression's done. 5 drones in the production tab.
Man, now he's miles. Yeah, dude, JonSnow at this point, guys, is miles behind his opponent. Already got a mining mining natural, and hasn't been investing as many minerals into making links, because I mean he's been trading with his queens and spine crawlers. So 10 supply advantage here, as you can see, to WaKa. And again, JonSnow is going to try to find some sort of angle here. So I mean he'll be able to continuously effectively trade lings versus the slow lings of his opponent, but I mean, it doesn't really achieve much. The only thing he's really doing is more opening himself up for a big counterattack, because you know WaKa with the economy advantage, if he forces his opponent to remake additional lings, that's going to be even fewer drones, which means that JonSnow is going to be putting himself even further behind.
Yeah, absolutely. WaKa can put on like any kind of pressure at any stage. Then JonSnow is forced to respond with units to defend, and that's not something he can really afford to do. He has to be squeezing out every single drone he can to make an attempt at catching up with WaKa. But given that his natural actually hasn't even finished yet, whereas WaKa's been up and holding strong in a war zone for quite a while now, JonSnow's actually going to go for a third base really quickly. I think this is a great decision against the gases opening from WaKa. Speed's not going to be done for quite a while. By that time, JonSnow may well be able to actually mount a defense of that third base.
Yeah, you know, you have to pull something crazy like this in JonSnow's position, because I mean, there's not going to be any way that you can catch up otherwise. So, like you mentioned there, you know, knowing that his opponent was doing gasless openings, very smart decision, because there's not really going to be any way here for WaKa to punish. However, though, Baneling Nest does go down. Speed is halfway done. So at this point in time, JonSnow is he's got some time to prepare himself, but soon the floodgates will open and WaKa will be going for that massive counterattack, and we'll have to see if he can shut down this third base or not, because if it stays up here for JonSnow, then all of a sudden WaKa is going to find himself in a not so favorable position. So he has to make something happen towards this third.
Yeah, he can't allow JonSnow to tear back the income advantage, the production advantage that WaKa has held for so long. But they're finishing up now. I'm kind of interested to see what WaKa wants to do with it. Is it going to be, yeah, I would guess Spire, because of all the gas, and he hasn't got anything else to spend it on. And yeah, there's the Spire coming down in the main as well, so that's going to be great on Iron Fortress. How far away the third is from the natural, you can dance between those so quickly. And what is there for anti-air for JonSnow? There's 2 queens.
Yeah, no Spore Crawlers out. I mean, he can't even afford to invest into any sort of static defense at home. However, those Speedlings making their way across the map here. As JonSnow keeping these games forward very aggressively. This is an Overlord there to the Queen supply block. I mean, JonSnow, he has to focus on his economy right now, but I mean, he's constantly under threat of a big attack here from WaKa. So he's sort of put himself between a rock and a hard place here. He needs to be making the perfect decisions. Any sort of miscalculations, any mistakes, and he's going to be behind. But right now, WaKa is being very passive, now taking his third base, but he hasn't been committing to any big attacks, and we just see JonSnow catching up very shortly in terms of drones.
Yeah, the econ's now looking very even, but WaKa has managed to get away with this Spire. JonSnow's got no idea about it. Actually, did he?
No, it doesn't know.
He hasn't
but
seen
I mean,
it. No, he just.
No, I think it's just, you know, like game sense sort of thing, this is really going to help him. But of course, we have a lot of Overlords out in the middle of the map here, man. So, you know, those go down. You get heavily supply blocked when you're under a massive attack that's not really favorable. Here, needs to be so on point with these Bailey connections.
Yeah, just not quite getting those lanes. WaKa barely scraping out, and it kind of makes sense for JonSnow to think Mutalisks. WaKa hasn't really shown any kind of tech, and is not actually. Oh, nice Baning connections in there. The rest of WaKa lanes going to swarm on through. Pretty decent Baning connection there for JonSnow. Another one as WaKa tries to find a way out. Oh.
Yeah, you know, to be honest, JonSnow ended up losing a good portion of drones there. But I don't think it's really too much of an issue because of the fact that he does have that third enemy. Look at that, right back up to 51 drones. And now he's got the Spore Crawlers already. He now confirms that there are Mutalisks on the map. And, well, even though WaKa is ahead in terms of supply, I mean, he's still in a pretty decent position.
Yeah, just lose one Muta to those Spore Crawlers, and he really doesn't want to lose that. I mean, you don't ever want to lose any units, really. But Mutalisks, particularly with this style WaKa's playing, he just wants to try and keep his opponents suppressed with just these few Mutalisks and build up his own Roach army. So he's never going to build any more Mutalisks to replace these ones, or the ones he loses, most likely. It'll just be Roaches from here on out as he tries to secure a bit of map control with Mutalisks. One thing of note as well is JonSnow has barely had any Overlords out on the map the whole game. There's only one in kind of the bottom middle. So whilst this was kind of difficult for him earlier when he had to be worried about a big attack from WaKa and didn't really have any way of seeing it moving out, now it's almost an advantage because he's not going to lose any to these Mutalisks.
That's, I mean, very nice the fact that he doesn't have to worry about that, but at the same time, you know, he's giving up a lot of map control and vision. And there's a massive swell of Roaches heading his way. However, though, he actually catches a couple of them on his edge of the creep there, and he's got a lot of Roaches in production of his own. Army supply at 100 at this point for WaKa to 70 of JonSnow, but however, defender's advantage does go to the Blue Zug, and a lot of Queen energy here for those transfusions. As the fight goes down here, ladies and gentlemen, these transfusions need to be on point, so focus fire on the Queens coming down in from WaKa. As the concave here heavily favouring JonSnow at this point, and more transfusions really helping things out here, as even the Mutalisks joining the fray here on the right hand side. However, though, does WaKa have too much stuff? Will he be able to overrun his opponent here and now at the third base?
All the Mutalisks falling from the skies, they get drawn into that Spore Crawler. A couple of reinforcements pop for JonSnow, but WaKa just has so much. WaKa's reinforcements come in. He's got a Corruptor and a bunch of Lings on the way as well, but it looks like he's got more than enough Roaches to push through. JonSnow taps out, and WaKa takes his first victory.
A very nice defense there from WaKa. I was a bit worried for him there as the attack into the third base. I really felt it wasn't too successful, but managed to take that good fight there at the very end of things, having the superior Roach numbers and then just reinforcing quicker, having all those Lings ready and stuff like that. But WaKa manages to turn things around a little bit, guys, and perhaps he will be able to ride this momentum that he has regained in this series, but who knows, he's still one map away from elimination, so he's going to have to take the next two maps very cleanly here in order to stay alive.
Yeah, he is. I mean, today has been the day of comebacks, so if you've been paying attention to WGS, we've seen this situation quite a few times already today, but looks like Moonlight Madness is the next map.
And we're also going to be jumping over to Europe, guys. And so just give us a second with that. But I mean, so far now, I was thinking a bit like, oh, is this going to be a quick 3-0? But no, WaKa manages to turn things around. JonSnow with the speedling all-in attack there. The big decisive moment was the fact that he continuously tried to push himself up that ramp. And even though he killed two queens at the very start of the fight, just the positioning there is how you want to be fighting as the defending Zog when you lack speed, when you don't have any spine crawlers planted in good positions to fight, because then your opponent cannot utilize the advantage in gaining surface area quicker, because I mean it's so limited, so you'll only have individual Lings fighting individual Lings. So that was a big mistake from JonSnow, and I think that's actually what cost him the game.
Yeah, I think you'll be right, because obviously he had that big Ling count advantage, which you can't leverage in a choke like that. But
exactly.
WaKa's going to have to restart really quickly. I found the answer to what was going on with the Corruptors, and apparently it was some top level Mind Games. He had a bit of lag, and then his hotkey profile just completely changed to the basic hotkey profile. So his normal roach hotkey was corruptors now. So he was trying to build. He thought he was building roaches, but
I was like, why would you make corruptors?
Yeah. Either way, we're gonna try and get this lobby up. Moonlight Madness would appear to be
Nice. Let's see. Yeah, Moonlight Madness. Okay, so interesting map. There are a lot of destructible debris, so you can open up multiple attack angles and stuff like that. You also have the rock tower in the main base, which you can break down, of course. But I mean, ZVZ, you don't really see any sort of big plays or builds around the map design on this one. So I think we're just gonna have fairly straightforward Ling Baneling, and then into roaches, and then from there we'll see where things decide to go. But of course, you know, either of these players can decide to pull something crazy out of their hat. As we are now in our lobby, and we are getting ready for the potentially final game, unless WaKa can pick up this map and bring it into the ace game.
Yeah, he's got a tough road ahead of him, but I feel like he's got a bit more of a handle on his opponent now. Every game, JonSnow's been pretty aggressive at least one stage in the game, and if WaKa, I think, just keeps on playing fairly safe, he shouldn't be at risk. But on the other hand, JonSnow will know this as well. So if there was a time for JonSnow to start thinking, well, maybe I'll just go hatch first, maybe I'll play this really greedy, it would be now, I think.
Yeah, most certainly. You know, that being said as well, we do actually have the advantage in terms of server again here now for our player in the bottom left, playing for Team Gravity. It is going to be WaKa. Because, you know, bear in mind that we were, in fact, on NA when he did take that map.
Now on EU here in the top right-hand corner. From Flipside Tactics, it is our blue Zerg, JonSnow. He is, of course, on match point, on the verge, the cusp of victory. But WaKa's
I think that's probably like the most daunting part of the climb, when you're one game away from winning something, and you know you realize like, if boy, JonSnow. Okay, 9-pool versus 9-pool, ladies and gentlemen. Whoa. This all of a sudden things took a turn for the worse. You have to fasten your seatbelts. So, you know, before action, we start kicking into action here in this game here on Moonlight Madness. I'm just gonna ask all of you guys who are watching now from home and all over the place, who do you think is gonna win? Will WaKa be able to turn things around into a 2-2 and bring us to that final map number 5, or are things gonna end here now in this 9-pool versus 9-pool war, guys? Tell us in chat. I'm going to be keeping an eye on that. I hope this is appropriate to say, because when I cast other things, it's not appropriate to keep an eye on chat.
You can also, if you're watching this on Team Liquid, you can head over to hitbox.tv/Team Gravity for the chat. And also, one of the cool features of Hitbox is they've got a poll system. So we've currently got a poll up of who you want to win, WaKa or JonSnow. WaKa's leading, so if you've got any JonSnow fans who want to come over and show their support, he really does need it, because he's not represented at all on that poll. But either way, they're both moving out now. Actually, WaKa is the first to spot what's going on. His Overlord sees JonSnow's Lings move out, so he's going to keep his own Lings at home. He'll have a massive Ling counter advantage by the time JonSnow actually gets there. Plus, of course, he can pull off drones if necessary. And he's got speed on the way, whereas the gas only just finishing up now for JonSnow. So this is looking pretty good for the Red Zerg.
Yeah, man, this is so awkward here for JonSnow, because I mean, speed will be up so much faster here for WaKa. I mean, he's about 1/3 done at this point, and JonSnow doesn't even have gas to start his own speed. So I think that we might actually see WaKa just turn things around completely, unless JonSnow can find a good defensive position here in his main base. But I mean, he has no creep spread to that ramp. He has no spine crawler at home. So this is going to suddenly be very difficult, as speed's going to be kicking in here shortly for WaKa.
Yeah, of course. WaKa can't get too aggressive with the link count advantage, the defensive advantage that JonSnow has here. But once speed does finish up, his Lings are just going to race across the map as well. Actually, it's worth noting that JonSnow did manage to get away with a much, much faster queen than WaKa. So WaKa's injects have been lackluster. Well, non-existent, really. So JonSnow's going to keep having a very, very high number of lings for quite some time. But as we see there, WaKa can use that speed to kind of run in, try and snipe a drone or two, do what damage, pick off what he can. Look, JonSnow is going to throw it on a Baneling Nest, helping his defense here a lot. And we've seen his hits be pretty good so far this series.
Yeah. And you know, the double queen as well on the defense, very key here. Will have that transfusion available and stuff like that. So this is going to sort of force WaKa to now go back home and expand. I do like this decision for him, but then on the other hand, he lacks that Baneling Nest. I mean, has he caught wind of it though? I mean, so he's going to be prepared for the fact that JonSnow can in fact go for a big counterattack. Does he know about this?
Yeah, he's seen the Baneling Nest. He also obviously has seen this, the fact that JonSnow's mining speed, which even if he hasn't noticed, the pool wiggling would heavily indicate speeds on the way. So yeah, almost exactly the right timing. Having I guess checked how much gas was mined, he pulls on back before he gets caught out by speedlings or by a couple of big Baneling hits. But just going to run back and forth, try and meet JonSnow in the middle of the map with a couple of Banelings morphing in. This might actually edge a army advantage through to WaKa.
Is he taking the favorable engagement?
I don't know. I think roughly even trades there. Actually, it looks like it was good for WaKa. 13 lings lost by JonSnow to only 9 of WaKa. And yeah, WaKa finds another one there.
Oh, yeah, and right now we need to be so careful though about these Banelings. Even more morphing in at this point. Baneling Nest just started now for WaKa. He does have the hatchery done though. And there is also a queen in support. As he's trying to peel off a couple of lings and to find those Banelings in again! JonSnow finds the connection he was looking for. But still, 2 queens here, not going to have enough to break on through. He needs to wait for those reinforcements to come in, but what WaKa is doing is still buying time. But he's, man, he really needs to shape up on his link control because he's been giving away so many links to these Baneling connections.
Yeah, and this is his server as well. Just barely avoids those Banelings there. WaKa plays with fire when it comes to Banelings, and sometimes he gets burned. But nice movement on those Banelings, trying to cut off the links from actually getting up the ramp. And they're just going to play a ring of roses around this hatchery. WaKa morphing in a few Banelings of his own. But JonSnow's just going to jump straight on them and cancel them.
Yeah, he finds them right away. No Banelings in production right now for WaKa, and I think this is going to be it, guys. I mean, JonSnow managed to break on through. That link control really just hurting WaKa so many times, and there we go. Again, another big connection hit there for JonSnow. Is just continuously adding in more links and another hit onto those drones. And these guys now fairly even. No more links in the base to clean up here for WaKa to worry about. But he is not done. JonSnow is not finished yet.
Not by any means. You turn on the aggression and you don't turn it off until you won the series. But this queen even wants to get in a piece of the action. Waddling across the map and a few Banelings, of course.
Yeah, to be honest, I think it would be better if he just sent her into fight over pulling her back away across the map.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, it takes so much time.
I'd agree.
Could perhaps target fire some of those Banes, but now WaKa has been done and again. Oh, that's so close. WaKa is like seriously like giving me neck pains.
Yeah.
Because I'm getting so tense.
It's tough. It's tough. He's gonna go in and try it again, but I think that's okay for WaKa. The only problem being he doesn't actually have any. Oh no, he does have a little clump of Banelings back here. But JonSnow doing well.
5 in total for both players.
Yeah. Oh.
And he gives up.
Yeah.
3 Banelings there. But these fights, man, they just continuously keep favoring JonSnow. He's grabbing an expansion of his own behind all of this. So, you mean he's going to have a fallback position to rely on. And again, the Banelings waddle on forward. Will they find the connections they're looking for?
Looks like that was okay there for WaKa, but another Baneling morphing up for JonSnow. And this queen is getting so much done. Could even pop down and creep tumor, but might be a bit late as it's dead now. But it looks like WaKa just has actually held off the aggression. At least for now.
One Baneling. Yeah, that one Baneling morphing outside the natural of our red Zerg.
Oh, yeah.
He's now going for the counter effect. Oh, that could actually surprise him, you know. Yeah. Like, maybe he's not ready for it. If he's move commanding these links across the map, like, if he's not paying attention...
Oh, no.
Then he's in a lot of trouble, but well, ends up taking 3 links for a Baneling. Could have had a much better trade-off. But I mean, it's better than to lose it to 1.
Yeah.
However, though, now JonSnow needs to be on the defensive. Things have turned around a little bit here.
Yeah, WaKa now taking the position as the aggressor. This means he has to attack into JonSnow's Banelings, and that's not really something he's shown a great deal of comfort around. And as a reinforcing flood of lings come out from JonSnow, WaKa's going to run back across the map to the safety of his home base and a couple of his own Banelings, but we'll see. I don't think...
Yeah, this is so bad. Now all of a sudden, JonSnow is on his side of the map again with more aggression. And we'll see, JonSnow not liking to slow things down. He really just wants to try to go and end things. He's going straight for the jugular vein, but needs to be careful again about these Bailey connections. 3 for 2, not a good trade, but 1 still remains. Does fall to the Queen.
Yeah, some fairly decent connections there by WaKa for a second. And, whoa, he's playing with fire again. But 2 for 2, it's okay. WaKa, he just needs to take that tempo away from JonSnow and make sure that WaKa keeps a bit of time to morph up some more Banelings.
Both of these guys now stopping Ling production. Only drones less started here for WaKa, who's been mining a little bit more gas. Now we see again JonSnow adding in drones onto that gas guys in the main. Instantly throws down that Roach Warren. No lair in sight. I think he's just going to go for it. Try to break his opponent here and now once that Roach one finishes. Go again for another similar all-in like we saw that in that previous map.
Yeah, once he gets that Roach count up. WaKa, though, I think he's going for Roaches of his own as well. No third gas. Probably not going to be Mutalisks here. Oh, sorry, no fourth gas even. Probably not going to be Mutalisks. And 1 Evo, 1 Roach Warren should enable WaKa to get... Like, it's not even that far behind. Not as far behind as it was on Terraform. Only about a 20-25 second difference in their Roach run timings. And WaKa, with his lings actually out on the map, can start doing a little bit of pressure to JonSnow, threatening a run by.
So he needs to make sure to have Banelings on top of that ramp. Just sort of stay cautious. Now we have 11 Roaches here on that production tab for JonSnow. Roach 1 has just finished now, though, however, for WaKa as well, starting the glider reconstitution, which is that Roach speed. No Roaches in production yet. He's banking a decent amount of resources. Yeah, there we have them. 7 Roaches is what it will be, together with that +1 upgrade.
Yeah, worth noting as well, of course, is that Moonlight Madness, much safer map to take a third base. When WaKa lost on Terraform, obviously you're taking the outside third base, much more exposed. A lot more difficult to defend, whereas here on Moonlight Madness, if WaKa was to go for it, he wouldn't be spreading himself quite as thin, but he might not get the chance because JonSnow is coming.
Yeah, and right now he is looking to end things yet again. Second attempt in this game. A lot of Banelings morphing at the very back of things, but these are going to be excellent for busting down the front door as these Roaches are soaking up a lot of the damage. As more Banelings roll on in, the Spine Crawler falls, and a lot of their splash damage actually being dealt into the Roaches of WaKa. Will he be able to hold on? He's got the advantage right now in terms of numbers, and that Queen helping out as well. He is going to force his opponent to back off, but Glider Reconstitution is about 10 seconds away from completing here, man. And that means that he's going to be able to give chase and start catching and hunting down these Roaches who are trying to retreat, but they're just so slow.
Yeah, big speed boost right now for WaKa, and boom, he's going to start getting those Roaches down, moving his whole pack forward and manually kiting it. Yeah, he sees the Roach speed and knows it's GG. WaKa has managed to take it to the ace game.
Oh man, so he was really looking dead there. But and again, I'm going to come back to that mistake that JonSnow made on Iron Fortress with those lings. If he hadn't done that, he would have been out of this series. But now here he is, and he has to face the music as map number 5. What is that going to be? We are going to be jumping back over to NA, I do believe.
Mm-hmm.
But we have to see map number 5. What is it going to be, man? What is it going to be? It's going to be very important here to see if we're going to be having a map where, big sort of where you can play to different sort of build orders and styles like that.
Dash and tunnel. Also, we think. Or bridgehead.
Bang.
Either dash and tunnel or bridgehead. I guess.
No one knows.
I guess we'll find out from WaKa, because he'll have vetoed one of those. JonSnow knows it's not the one he vetoed, and of course there are only 3 maps left in the pool. But yeah, it definitely looks like today is like comeback central. So far as I can
dude,
tell,
like,
about the worst thing you can do in a series, based on all the games that have been played today, is go 2-0 up in a best of 5. Because that's basically a death
like,
sentence.
yeah, like you're cursing yourself. I mean, we saw in WCS with both Mana and
Lilbo,
Lilbo.
yeah.
Absolutely excellent series
Hmm.
today in WCS. So, dude, we actually have 3 foreigners and 1 Korean through in the rounds of 4 of WCS. I'm super
Yeah.
excited about the finals tomorrow.
Yeah, it's going to be awesome. The possibility of a foreigner versus foreigner finals is pretty real as well.
That'd be so sick.
Yeah, if Manus on form, and I mean, taking down Petraeus is definitely no easy feat. I would have thought Petraeus had an easier time than Mana against either 4GG or Pol, but I reckon Mana could definitely take down 4GG, and yeah, when was the last time we had a foreigner versus foreigner finals?
Yeah, I can't even remember. I think that's like back in
Like Wings of
2012.
Liberty Vita?
Yeah, right. Like, no, but I think like maybe I'm thinking. No, I actually can't remember. Like, literally cannot remember when we had a foreigner versus foreigner finals. I
Yeah.
can think like foreigner rounds of 16, rounds of 8, kind of thing, but not a finals, man. It's just been so many years
It's gonna be fun.
in any major tournament. So I'm kind of hoping, like I'm usually very biased and like no, I only like watching Koreans, but I mean I had a blast watching the games today with my boy Sansto, of
Oh
course.
yeah,
So I hope, yeah, dude, I hope to see him go through to the
me too.
finals, and I don't care who he plays. But I mean he's just been looking on fire today, man. He was playing so well.
Yeah, he is a pretty cool boy, and
He's super chill, dude. He's
he
really
is,
tall
he
as
is.
well.
Yeah, I met him at Hyatt at the base trade event.
Yeah,
Which is
yeah,
cool.
yeah.
Okay, so
He's young as well.
yeah,
He's like 18 and so good at StarCraft too. I mean, imagine if he picks up like the final one of the final spot and then manages to go on and win WCS season 3 2015.
18. Yeah,
Yeah, then on top of that, he's also won 2 esport SMs, which is like the biggest thing in Sweden. You win, I think it's about 10 grand. Yeah, about $10,000 for each one of those, and he's won 2 of them. So I mean, he's got dollar to spend. But I'm definitely taking him out for biz regardless of when he comes back from Poland, because we actually live really close to each
oh
other.
really? That's cool. Game. There we go. So getting the last map set up. It is gonna be Bridgehead, and what do you reckon our chance is of seeing some early pools here as well?
Oh, there's been no hesitation from either of these guys, as we just saw here there on Moonlight Madness. So who knows? But it is the final game, and everything on the line for both of these players. So we'll see who decides to take the step forward here into the Dark Void, as we are now starting that countdown. Map number 5, ladies and gentlemen, this ace game of our first series here in Team Gravity's Fight Night number 31.
Yeah.
Oh, and here we go.
It's gonna be
Loading
pretty
in now.
exciting. Bridgehead, of course, does have those back rocks, so there's the possibility of getting them broken down with some early roaches or lings and just pulling your opponent around. But for now, we've just spawned in. So here we are on Bridgehead, down in the bottom right-hand spawn. He's managed to make the comeback this far. He needs one more map to complete it. It's the Red Zo player from Team Gravity, WaKa.
They're really turning things around here. I don't think his opponent was expecting this to go to map number 5, but he is here on the other side of the map, wearing the blue trunks tonight, playing for Flipside Tactics. It is going to be JonSnow. And man, he had such an advantage there. And WaKa was looking dead in game number 3, but manages to pull things back. And now, initiative has completely been turned around here, and WaKa, Balzo, Steel is going to go for that temple.
Oh yeah, thrown down early. 3 games in a row now we've had an early pull. This time it's going to be WaKa, the one who's getting really aggressive with it. And we'll have to see how JonSnow deals with it. I mentioned earlier, JonSnow in every single game has been the one to make an aggressive move first. WaKa's been in the defending position 4 games out of 4 so far. And if JonSnow, you know, the cheesiest thing a cheesy player can do is play macro, and that looks to be what JonSnow's doing. The hatch first against the 10 pool. Things are looking pretty good for WaKa.
Nice, and even with speed as well, so he's going to be going for, yeah, he's going to be grabbing that speed. I hope at least he goes for the speed variation and not the Baneling variation, because it's much riskier. Because you just can't, you can outmaneuver your opponent with speed, but if your opponent can split well versus the Banelings, then, oh man, WaKa, don't do this! I mean, he can still, he's still got a massive build order advantage, but I really don't like this Baneling variation. I much prefer the one with speed. I feel it's much safer.
JonSnow's not going to see these lings until they're already halfway across the map. He'll have no idea it's coming until right now. And it's panic time. What do you do as JonSnow? Your pool's not even finished. WaKa's going to have Banelings by the time your lings are out. It's tough.
This is so unfortunate, man. JonSnow, thinking I was going to be able to get away, even with gasless here, with that hatchery first as well. So, he's going to be forced to micro drones. He pulls a drone away, so he can start a spine crawler very far up on. Right on the edge of that creep, which is a very intelligent move. Cancelling the hatchery at the last second as well, because he needs the extra minerals. Spine crawler number 2 does go down, and now he needs the micro here. He's got a decent bag of 300 minerals, so he doesn't have to worry about losing mining time for a little bit here. But as these Banelings come on in, this is when things are going to get hard.
Yeah, and he doesn't know about the Banelings until now. Again, he hadn't seen that Baneling nest, but WaKa doesn't want to use these Banelings. He wants to use them sparingly. And so far, he's just forcing JonSnow to not mine anything. If he can take down this Spine Crawler, that'll be a big win. Baneling connection hits the Spine Crawler and a couple of drones as well. So far, JonSnow is doing pretty well here, but the Queen coming out is going to be really important. The Banelings are spent on that second Spine Crawler, focusing it down. It's going to trade itself off for a couple of lanes, but it does fall eventually as well. And JonSnow's in a pretty good position now, I think.
I mean, he's deflected the first attack here, but more Banelings being morphed in right now. And still, he's so careful. Look at this. He does not want to overstep here and leave the sanctuary of his base. Queen number 2 on the way as well. Another spine being added in again for JonSnow. However, though, on the other side of the map, what do we see here out of WaKa? He's been mining gas continuously, and he's soon nearing that 100 mark. So he can grab that speed. One of the biggest things here, of course, man, to keep in mind is the fact that there was a hatch cancelled. So these guys will eventually end up being fairly even, as now the Banelings roll on in. Will they be able to find anything? No! The double queen is just too strong, and WaKa is supposed to tap out. JonSnow manages to make the hold, and that means that he's going to be the first victor in series number 1 here of Team Gravity's Fight Night.
Yes, indeed, and WaKa worked so hard to even that series up, but at the end of the day, JonSnow's defense just a little too good. That drone split, when WaKa moved in with the first 3 Banelings, was insane. JonSnow was barely even mining for most of it, but he did manage to, whilst most of his drones were spread out in the area between his main and his natural, just send a couple back to mining. Always getting that little bit of extra income to keep things going. And yeah, pulled through for him eventually. And it's like you said, the Banelings have to get good connections if you're going 10 pool Bane, and they didn't.
No, they just weren't there.
Yeah.
This is why I really prefer the speed opening, because, you know, he would have let the JonSnow would have let the hatchery finish. There wouldn't have been the stress of, okay, I have to go now in the same way. And then, of course, he can peel drones off gas and get them to mine minerals to get more money for more Zerglings. So yeah, just getting a bit unlucky there, because he did have that build order advantage. Ended up throwing it a little bit. But, you know, that being said, man, we are going to be cutting it to a quick break, I believe, as our players for the second series of tonight are going to be getting themselves ready. So we will return shortly here for you guys here on Hitbox with Team Gravity's Fight Night number 31.
See you soon.